What the hell has gone wrong with Oklahoma this year? Because coming into this season, I was expecting this to be a 9-win team. I thought that the offense was going to be pretty good. Jackson Arnold would have a breakout season. The defense would be a championship caliber unit. And the only thing that's been factual has been the fact that Oklahoma does have a championship caliber defense. And it's a shame that it's being wasted by an inept offense. And they fired Seth Luttrell not too long ago. He was supposed to replace Jeff Lebby, and I didn't think Jeff Lebby was that good of an OC for Oklahoma, but losing him, it's pretty evident that he had a major role in how effective that offense has been the last couple of years under Brent Venables, because right now that offense is just in shambles. Yeah, you got a lot of injuries that you've been dealing with at wide receiver. You're down pretty much all your starters. Your offensive line is a little bit banged up as well, but your offensive line already was an issue coming into this year because you're going to have to start a lot of guys from the portal, so you didn't have a lot of chemistry on that unit. But Jackson Arnold, he had his best game of the season against Ole Miss, but overall, this dude has been a huge disappointment. And the fact that you had to go back to him is a fact. It just shows that you don't have good enough quarterback play for you to be actually taken seriously in the SEC, because the thing about playing in the SEC is that you can't win games like your Iowa. Just relying on good special teams and great defense is going to get you far in this conference. You got to have competent quarterback play, and you got to have a competent offense. The injuries haven't done Oklahoma any justice this year, but the coaching staff that Brent Venables put together this year is not good, and he definitely has to hit that coaching carousel and find a new offensive coordinator. I asked Oklahoma fans a few days ago how would they feel about the hiring of Dan Mullen, and it was overwhelming no by a lot of you Sooners fans. And my question is, if you don't want Dan Mullen, who's out there on your wish list for offensive coordinators that you would like this program to hire? Because it's not like when you're looking for an offensive coordinator, it's like looking for a head coach. You know who the studs are. You don't really know who the great play callers are, because it's like, if you're going to hire an offensive coordinator, you're either going to hire a guy from a smaller program and see what he can do at a school like Oklahoma with more talent to work with. But it's not like a lot of these dudes we really know too much about, like they're household names. And I don't see anything wrong with going out and hiring Dan Mullen. The dude has shown that he is a really elite play caller, and we've seen how far Florida's offense has dipped in terms of production from how good they were under Dan Mullen to what they've been under Billy Napier. But for Oklahoma to be 1-4 and SEC play right now, to me, is really shocking. It may not be to a lot of you guys, but Oklahoma has recruited at a really high level. They have brought in top 10 recruiting classes every single year. Brent Venables has been the head coach down there in Norman. And you felt like this program was heading in the right direction. They was on a really good trajectory. They gave Brent Venables that extension early on. I think it was before or early during the season. Some people were a little bit against it. They was like, what has Brent Venables proved? And now those people that had their doubts about Brent Venables, they're yelling right now how they were right. But I still see Brent Venables being a very good head coach. And I'm not really concerned about the future of Oklahoma, because this program is one of the best in the country when it comes to recruiting and developing the talent that they get out of high school. A lot of those guys, Danny Stutzman, Billy Bowman, were highly touted coming out of high school, and they've lived up to the hype. The only problem is that you don't have good quarterback play. You got some issues on the offensive line, and the football guys just have been hating on you this year because all of your best receivers are injured. But moving forward for Oklahoma, I think that they'll be better after this season. Brent Venables, he's definitely going to learn a couple of lessons or two after this year. He definitely is going to go out there and get him a quarterback. it's not hard for a program like Oklahoma to bounce back. They got a lot of money. They got a lot of resources. It really is just, can they hire the right offensive coordinator? And I believe that they can. If Brent Venables can hire Jeff Lebby and that dude can become a head coach, he can do it again. That's what good coaches do. Not every hire that you make always works out. But the good thing is that you know when to hold them and you know when to fold them. It's good to see that Brent Venables isn't one of those coaches that holds on to guys longer than what they need to be. You see what a guy is, you don't give him the benefit of a doubt, and you move on. And that's something that I think is a sign that Brent Venables is going to be a great head coach for Oklahoma, because unlike Lincoln Riley, he's not holding on to coordinators that aren't performing up to the level expected at OU. Brent Venables, the dude fired Seth Luttrell, and that dude wasn't even the offensive coordinator for the full season this year. So that shows that this dude is not hesitant to make changes when he realizes changes need to be made. In Oklahoma moving forward, the talent's there, the recruiting's there. They got everything that it takes to win the SEC outside of getting good quarterback play. You know, I'm not about to turn on Brent Venables when all of his best players on offense are injured, and he just missed that quarterback. Jackson Arnold, he recruited him out of high school, and when you are a coach, sometimes you're going to hit on guys, sometimes you're going to whiff on guys. He's a defensive-minded coach. You're not always going to get it right. I'm not making excuses for Brent Venables, but I'm just laying out that there are more reasons to be optimistic about Oklahoma's program than there are to be pessimistic about it, because they did have a 10-win season last year, and they did beat Texas. And yes, it was in the Big 12. The SEC, we obviously know, is an entirely different animal, but you can't turn on a dude based off one season. And we still got a lot of season left to play. Like, I could see Oklahoma maybe winning 7 games this year, but if they only win 6, I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. This program does have everything that it takes to win it all. You just need to hire the right guys and to get the right quarterback in there. And nobody can ever predict injuries. And with the transfer portal and NIL, it has ruined a lot of depth that teams have normally used to have. Normally, a school like Oklahoma would be too deep at wide receiver. But now, with guys transferring out because they don't want to wait their turn or they want to get paid more money, you don't have that same amount of depth as what you used to have in years prior. And that's what has hurt Oklahoma, is that you don't really have good depth on offense. And a lot of guys they've been throwing out there at wide receiver, they're really young, really inexperienced. And, it really isn't good to get blown out by South Carolina, get blown out by your arch nemesis, Texas. But I think that Oklahoma will be better after this year. It is a little bit disappointing how left things have gone. But, really early coming into this season, they were already screwed because a lot of their best players were already injured and banged up rolling into the season because of the injuries they sustained in fall camp. So that's never a good sign. It just is one of those seasons where if you're an OU fan, you just got to take it on the chin, accept that, this year is going to be a letdown, and look forward to next season. As disappointing as what that is, because you got to wait a whole nother 11, 12 months for that to happen. But Oklahoma, I'm not about to write off Brent Venables because of one down season. Making the transition from the Big 12 to the SEC, you're going to have some growing pains along the way. Even Steve Sarkisian has had his growing pain when Texas got humbled at home by Georgia. So I believe that Brent Venables is going to be better for this. And I still believe that this dude is going to be a great head coach for the Sooners, as ugly as what this season has been. But, when you're banged up on the offense and you don't got good quarterback play and you're trying to win games like Iowa, that's only going to get you so far in this conference.